everybody, this is Linda with Bedtime Bible Chat. Alrighty then, we're going to do Proverbs 10. I don't know if we'll ever get out of this chapter. And one verse, I think it's verse 26. And this is a study that we've done a couple of times only. You know, we're almost in our 10-year mark doing Bedtime Bible Chat. And I can only remember about 2 times that we have done this particular study. So let's get over there and see what it has for us. Proverbs 10, verse 26 says, "As vinegar to the teeth, and as smoke to the eyes, so is the sluggard to them that send him." What he's saying here is a lazy person to an employer is as distasteful as vinegar is, and as irritating as smoke is to the eyes. Well, you know, Scripture tells us about being a good employee and being a good worker, but let's get into a couple of those verses. Galatians 6:9, "And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not." I'll get into that in a minute. 1 Corinthians 15:58, "Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord." Let's get into those two, because one is saying one thing and one is saying another thing. We have to be a good laborer, worker, for our employer for a couple of reasons. As a Christian, we represent Jesus to the world. And if we're lazy, it looks bad on Jesus. It gives Jesus a bad reputation. Look at those lazy Christians. You know, they love to put us down for the least little thing. So you've got to be sure and represent Jesus good at all times. And here's the other way that we have to look at it. You have agreed to take on a job for XYZ amount of money, and you get that full amount of money every payday, but you only give 50% of your effort to your employer. You are stealing 50% of the money that he gives you. Why? Because you agreed when you took the job to do the job, but you're only doing 50% of it. You're not taking 50% of the paycheck. You're taking 100% of the paycheck and only giving him 50% of effort back. That's stealing. So we have to make sure that we represent Jesus at all times, in a good light at all times. And if you are a Christian and you're lazy and you're giving your 50% to your employer, you're giving Jesus a black eye. Now, the other verse is talking about how we need to give God 100% of our labors in furthering the kingdom. A lot of Christians, once they get saved, they just go on with their life and sit on their laurels and don't do anything to further the kingdom. If you ask me, that's pretty much the same scenario as taking a job and giving 50% to your employer and taking 100% of the paycheck. You're giving Jesus 50% of your effort, but you expect 100% of heaven? Now, he's not going to withhold any heaven from you, but it's just, it tastes the same in my mind. We have to further the kingdom while we're here on earth, doing God's work. And as a Christian, we are supposed to be spreading the gospel to the world. If you recall, Jesus pretty much at the end of his time, told his disciples to go spread the gospel through the world. And there are still people who haven't heard the gospel. Why? The church is all over the planet, even places that you will die if you're caught worshiping God, worshiping Jesus. You will be killed, but they're there. And they are doing more spreading of the gospel than here in the West. We aren't doing the work that we're supposed to be doing. We are sluggards. Are you a sluggard? Are you doing work for the kingdom? Are you doing everything that you're physically and mentally and financially able to do? Like I've said to you many times before, you can be a paralyzed person and all you can do is think. Nothing else works but your brain. You can pray. You can pray for people that need salvation, who need healing. Are you doing that? You know my story. I'm trying my best to do what I can to further the kingdom. I can't get out here and even go to church. I can't. But I can watch sermons on the internet, and I can get on the internet and spread the gospel. You may not know how to do videos. That's fine. You can donate, you can pray, you can do whatever it is that you are physically, mentally, and financially able to do. But when you became a Christian and just went back into your normal life and that was it, I mean, where is the work for furthering the kingdom? Where is your fruit? Have you earned any crowns? Are you a sluggard? That's what it boils down to. You're lazy. Are you a lazy Christian? So many are. So many believe that, hey, I got saved, that's all I'm supposed to do. Oh, no. Jesus said, go out and spread the gospel to all of the world. So your work has only just begun. Work did not save you. Period. Don't go putting that in my mouth like people have done in the past. The work did not save you. But faith without works is dead. Furthering the kingdom is what our job is. Getting those souls saved. If all you can do is plant a seed, somebody else can come along and water it. And somebody else can come along and harvest it. But if you don't plant the seed, there won't be a harvest. Don't be a sluggard. Don't be a bad employee. If you still work, most of my people that watch me are retired. But if you still are employed, don't be a lazy employee. Give your employer the same amount that you agreed to give him to get your paycheck. If you're going to work 50%, then I dare you to take 50% of your paycheck. See how that works out. Okay. If you're a Christian slugger, sluggard, lazy, in other words. If you are a lazy Christian, how, may I ask, how can you commune with the Lord? That takes effort. And if you're a lazy Christian, you're not going to give it any effort. And if you don't have a relationship with Jesus, he's going to spit you out of his mouth. Revelation 3, somewhere around 3:11 or 12:16, somewhere in there. So you have to build that relationship with Jesus and do it on a continual basis. Because if you don't, then you might find yourself having a door slammed in your face and hearing Jesus say, "I'm sorry, I never knew you." Just like with your husband or wife, you have to have a relationship with them. Why else did you get married? Even the royalty and the rich have a relationship with the people they're marrying. They may not love them, but their relationship is either financial or bloodline, something like that, but there is a relationship. Normal people get married because they fall in love. That's a relationship. Are you in love with Jesus? If you are, then you have to have a relationship with him. Communing with the Lord is how you build that relationship. Communing with the Lord is spending time in his word. That's when he talks to you. He talks to you in other ways, but that's the easiest way for you, is reading his word. You pray. That's talking to him. Or you just sit there and think about him. Or you sing praise music to him. Sing praise songs. It's a good thing he's tone deaf, because I tell you what, I would have driven him over the edge by now. I sing to him all day long and I can't sing anymore. My voice just won't make it. But he don't mind. He's tone deaf. So when you commune with the Lord, you read his word, you pray, you sing to him, you think about him, you talk to him. Sometimes he will talk back, other than in his word. So communing with the Lord is when you build that relationship. Just like with your husband or wife, you talk to them, you sit down and you have a conversation with them. You do have things together. You have time together so you can get close. And that's what communing with the Lord does with you and Jesus. So don't be a lazy Christian, because I wouldn't want to hear Jesus say, "I never knew you." I wouldn't want to be spit out of Jesus' mouth. So that's our lesson today on being lazy in the world and lazy as a Christian. Okay, guys, I hope this helps. Tomorrow is what, Thursday? Yeah. So I hope to see you tomorrow on Bedtime Bible Chat, if the Lord's willing. Bye-bye.